Broad topics, broad minds, broad hosts, but not just for broads. This is Broadscast with Kim Goldman and Jackie McDougall.
Good morning, broadcast listeners.
You always say good morning.
Good morning.
Funny.
What?
Not everybody's listening in the morning.
Oh, but it's morning for me.
Yeah.
Sorry. Top of the good day. Hello. Hello.
Kim's like, you will listen in the morning.
Yes.
Actually, a lot of people are listening live in the morning, so I guess that's.
I don't want to be disrespectful to our
live listeners.
Yeah. So good morning. I'm Kim Goldman, and this is my dear co-host Jackie McDougall.
That's me. Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for noticing.
Noticing you? How could I not notice you? You have such a.
I'm so purty.
I'm just so perky.
I am perky. It really annoys you, doesn't it?
That you're so perky?
Yeah.
No.
Am I perky?
No.
No. That
I wouldn't qualify you as perky.
No.
No, and I don't mean that as a negative. I just don't see you as a perky person.
Let's analyze for a minute. Hey, before we do, a couple things, and then we're going to get back to analysis. Analyzation.
Because I have a dream. Yeah.
We have an awesome guest today. Jen Glantz is the author of Always a Bridesmaid for Hire. And yes, that's not like a metaphor. That's a thing. It's an actual thing. So yeah, she's a professional bridesmaid. It's we have to get into this in a little bit, but so you want to stay with us. But before we do that, today's episode is sponsored by our great friends at audible.com. Head on over there for a month free and a free audio download at audibletrial.com/broadcast. I'm obsessed.
Yeah.
I know you've downloaded it at this point.
Yes, of course I have.
Jen Sincero.
Yeah.
I've talked about her before. If this woman had a religion, I would be like the first one at the pulpit to like fist bump or whatever one does with, powerful religion. But she has a book called You Are a Badass.
Right.
And it is doing very, very, very well on Audible and also anywhere books are sold. But I just finished listening to it last night.
Yeah.
And I just, I've recommended it to you because I think.
Because I need all the help I can get. Is that what you're suggesting?
No, I think we all need all the help we can get. But some people are very resistant to like that self-helpy new age stuff. And she is like, there's some F-bombs in the book.
What? I can relate.
No, but she is definitely like, hey, I wasn't into this either, but these are true facts and these are things you must do and don't do them and you won't be a badass. Like, right. I mean, she speaks our language. You know, I feel like.
Which is a good thing because didn't you book her?
I did. She has a new book in April coming out called You Are a Badass with Money.
Ooh.
Yes. And so, she's going to be on. So
in the meantime, all of our listeners, go over to Audible, get the book, and then you can be prepared to call in or to have questions for her. So when we have her on later in April, you could be a badass. Yeah. You could be part of the Broadcast Badass Club. What?
The bad broad. Anyway,
Audible bad trial, to the ass to the
audibletrial.com/broadcast. And also, when you hear from Jen today, later in the show, she also has her books over there on Audible. And you yourself, Kim Goldman, have a book over there on Audible.
I do have a book over there on Audible.
If you can't get enough Goldman in your life, head on over there. So thank you so much to Audible, our sponsor. Because without you,
the show would not go on.
Exactly. Okay, back to analysis.
Oh,
I'm not perky?
Oh, no, I don't think you're perky. I wouldn't qualify you as perky. I would qualify you as
obnoxious?
No, I just perky. When I think of perky, I think of, and this is funny because I've never really watched the show, but Glee. Remember Glee?
Oh, yeah.
Rachel? Is that still even on the air? Glee?
No, it is not.
Oh, it's not. So the long, dark-haired girl.
Rachel.
Oh, Rachel. She reminds me of perky. Like she's perky. I don't know. I don't see you as perky. Okay. I don't even know what my word would be. But can we analyze my dream for a second? Oh. We haven't done this in a while. So I've had some really gnarly dreams lately. But the one that I had last night was, so I have carpet cleaners coming to my house. I'm on like they come every couple months to my house because I swear I'm sitting in a pocket of piddle in my house. I have 5 animals. And I know somebody's peeing somewhere.
And you're single?
Woohoo! No, seriously, I think that one of my animals has a urinary problem. Okay. And I can't. We've talked about. You have a dog too that you can't figure out where your dog is peeing. But anyway, so I am having the carpet people clean carpet and my couch today. Which, by the way, you should be doing once every 6 or 7 months. I say anyway. You should like so.
Wait, are you telling?
No. I'm saying like I'm not being neurotic. I'm just saying like you should like I haven't had my couch cleaned in a while, and you should get that stuff cleaned. Anyway, I digress. So my dream was I started vacuuming my couch last night. In my dream, I took all the mattress, all the what are they called? The cushions apart, and they were all different colors, which is weird. And then I was flipping them around, and I was cleaning and vacuuming, and there were cockroaches all over my couches. Like dead cockroaches.
Wait, what?
No, this is in my dream. They were dead cockroaches woven in. So what do you think that's about?
Something's bugging you. Oh, how do I not?
Or I have a, you know what, problem. Get it? Nothing.
Oh.
It didn't translate. Yeah, I can't say it on the air.
Yeah. It's so good that you've learned.
Yeah, I've learned.
So,
but anyway, yeah.
Kim, come on.
Oh, that's what you were doing this whole time when you were looking for some. Yeah, seriously. So
I couldn't find a
anyway,
shot.
Yeah, that's it. That was my dream. Weird, and I woke up very upset. And
that is weird.
Yeah,
I had a dream the other day about another podcaster.
Competition.
And we were both in the hospital in the same room.
What, you duking over? What were you doing?
We're both in there for different reasons. It was just so weird. I've had a lot of vivid dreams. Do you think that's like that everybody goes through vivid dreams at the same time? Like it's a universal thing, or like, because sometimes when I have like those nights where it's like crazy dreams, I wake up and my husband's like, "Wow, I had crazy dreams."
Oh, no, I don't think it's universal. I don't know. I think that I have a hard time remembering my dreams. So sometimes I like something's really vivid when I wake up. Not necessarily. I mean, I have crazy dreams a lot, but sometimes they're just more vivid, and I just sticks with me when I wake up.
Right.
Because like during the night, I can remember. I mean, I know that I'm having like a some kind of a dream because I'm not sleeping very restfully.
Right.
Anyway, can I digress and take a whole other?
Yes, let's go.
Angle? Okay. So,
but people are welcome to write in and tell Kim why she's crazy. I mean,
and
has
why
crazy
I'm
dreams.
Dreaming about cockroaches. Okay. So I've been seeing in the news a lot in the last couple of weeks, like these pop-up, tattoo events and fundraisers that people are getting tattoos to fundraise for, Planned Parenthood.
What?
You didn't see this? So, yeah. So this was a tattoo to protect your parts, a Planned Parenthood benefit. So these have been popping up, these pop-up shops, and people can get tattoos, and the money goes to support Planned Parenthood. So, and people have been doing, and then there was another one. I'm not sure if it was for Planned Parenthood, but there's another one, and people were getting the "She Persisted" tattoo. Have you seen? Because after the Elizabeth Warren debacle in the Senate.
When she was shut down.
She was shut down. But yeah, so these pop-up things, which I think are kind of cool, but would you do that?
Hell no.
No?
I mean, listen, I am not against tattoos. Like there are some people that are like, I would never get a tattoo. It's forever, blah, blah, blah. You know, the same people that are divorced, which I think is funny.
Yeah.
But see what I did there? Because that was supposed to be, yeah. But so I'm a fan of tattoos. I like tattoos. I love like symbolism, and if you want to get one on your body and that makes you feel good, then do it.
Right.
Like I have absolutely no issue with that. But to take like and maybe there are people out there who are doing it because they really feel strongly, and 30 years from now, She Persisted, I feel is different than like what kind of tattoos are they getting?
So I have a
PP on it.
I have a friend that
would be even more awkward.
she posted she went in line. She was standing in line, and because it was first come first serve, and then she posted her picture, and it was the female sign, the circle with a the female sign.
Yeah.
What's that called?
That
the female sign, yeah. But the circle was a donut.
Oh.
So I have to ask her.
Is that like supposed to be like a metaphor for?
I don't know. We'll have to ask her. I should have had I planned this out a little bit better, because I didn't think I was going to talk about this morning, but I don't know why it popped up into my brain. But anyway, yeah, she had a circle that was a donut with sprinkles on it, and I don't know what the purpose of it was for her, but that was her.
Well, donuts, aren't those like a metaphor for female parts?
Oh, they are? Yeast?
No, just the donut. I don't know.
Oh my God. That's no. See, I didn't get it. I didn't
Which is
realize
funny that you don't get that, but yet you call one of the elected officials.
What's his name?
Reese
Pubis. What's his name? Rents Pubis. What's pubic hair? That's what I've called him. What is his name?
Every time
Rents.
you refer to him, you call him
pubic hair. I know. Well, what's his name? Reese. I don't know. Pubic. Because his last name is Pubis, right? Or Pubis?
I'm never going to answer what his name is, because just hearing you try to sound it out is the best thing I've heard all day.
Pubis. I don't know. I can't. That whole situation has sucked all the smart out of my brain. Priebus? Yeah. Well, I could say other things.
His real name is Reinhold Richard.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Reinhold Richard pubic hair. Reinhold Richard.
Dick pubic hair.
Oh, anyway, so tattoo to protect your parts. These little pop-up shops, if you are willing and wanting to do that, if you are a supporter of Planned Parenthood, they're $40 a tattoo. I'm not advertising for it. It was just, I thought it was an interesting idea. This is not the only organization that does this. There's lots of other organizations around the country that do tattoos for fundraising. I just thought it was interesting.
Tattoos for fundraising.
Yeah, that 100% of the cost goes to the cause. So I don't know. I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. Moving on.
Wow. So this reminds, because we have our guest coming on in a few minutes, but this reminds me of a post I did a long time ago when a mom who was who's all tatted up wanted me to write about the reaction to, like, when you see somebody who's like covered in tattoos, mm-hmm. What is your first reaction? Like, do you judge? I mean, we talk about this all the time. Like, we like to say no judgment, but like when we see people, we get an impression right away. So, what are your thoughts? Like, if you're in the school, carpool, and this woman gets out and she's like all covered.
I don't know that I don't know that I actually think anything. I mean, there's a part of me that thinks it's beautiful. There's a part of me that thinks, where were you at in that? Like, I don't know. I guess I don't think bad. Mm-hmm. I don't think I think bad.
But I think there are a lot of people out there who like see tattoos.
Maybe because I have one, and maybe because I'm thinking about getting another. Yeah, and I'm thinking about getting another one.
You what?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Can we take a Broadscast field trip?
Possibly.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out where I want it.
I'll get one too.
Really?
Yeah.
I just am trying to figure out where I want to put it, because for me, the tattoo is not for other people to admire. It's for me.
Right.
So I guess I'm on the side of good for you expression. I don't know. I think it's beautiful.
If that's the biggest thing you're doing in your life, I think you're good.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know.
It's just, it's interesting though, the perception, that people have about just tattoos in general.
Okay. Well, I have a question about perception.
A question about perception.
Okay, so you and I saw this separately this week in the news. Gluing your labia shut.
Goodness.
To stop menstruation. So it's a glue stick, right? So this guy, a chiropractor, no less, in Kansas, has invented a lipstick-like glue that will seal your labia shut during your period, holding all of the blood in until you go to the bathroom. This is not a drill. So it's called, what is it called? It's called men's. I don't even know.
It's called insane.
It's called insane. Menses. I don't even know how. Menses lipstick. Clean, safe, secure, and done. Coming to a store near you. And the funny thing is, they put a picture of a woman's lips as opposed to
from her mouth.
From her mouth, yeah, from her mouth. So, what do you think of that? You glue your labia, you menstruate, and then when you pee, it all comes out, and then you have to reapply the lipstick. It needs to get rid of tampons. What do you think of that?
I think that man is insane. I think, here's the thing, like, you know, I have respect for chiropractors, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in general. But there are a lot of people out there who think that they're quacks. This man is doing them no service.
So in the ad, it says, this made me giggle. Have you ever woken up with your lips stuck together? Oh. It didn't hurt, and it was kind of fun. All you had to do was wet your lips from the inside with saliva, and they became unstuck. Men Says Feminine Lipstick is a natural patented compound of amino acids and oil in a lipstick applicator that is applied to the lips down under during the period. Urine instantly unsticks the labia and allows everything to wash out into the toilet. Wipe and reapply Men Says Lipstick. Clean, safe, secure, and done. So the part that made me laugh is it didn't hurt and it was kind of fun. Really, I'm pretty sure that was not fun. Is that when you have like dry mouth and you wake up and when you rip your lips apart? Like, what?
You know, the thing is, if you go back in time a little bit and you know, somebody's like, hey, this is what happens to you every month. These are the options. You know, and somebody was like trying to pitch the whole idea of a tampon.
Right.
You'd probably think they were crazy.
Right.
But I can't with this guy. It's like, first of all, where did this like little seed of idea stem from?
Because have you ever woken up with your lips stuck together? It didn't hurt and it was kind of fun. You could just see him waking up going, wow, that felt great. I bet women would love that in their down under region. I wonder if he's married. Can we find out?
And he acts like it'll just, you know, I mean, what a mess.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Like, I have this vision of like a dam breaking, like it's all piling up in there. And then you pee and it's like, whoosh. Like, is this just for low flow, heavy flow? Like, can you get super lipstick? Regular lipstick, like light flow lipstick.
If urine is going to unseal it,
why wouldn't the blood
stuff? Yeah.
The blood? I don't know.
Wow.
Maybe we should call him up and get a free sample.
Well, I don't. That ship sailed for me years ago, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Good luck.
So
Dan, you can
Dan,
take one for the team.
Wait. So this is so Dan Dops. The man behind this revolutionary product pubic hair seems to think women have failed to come up with a good solution to their period problem.
So we just got an email also asking the exact same question. If this works with saliva, wouldn't menses therefore render it useless? Like,
right.
Yeah. Exactly, Aaron. Exactly.
Duh.
That's what we're saying.
Oh God.
It's ridiculous. He and Priebus, we're putting him on the list.
Yeah. It's just I thought it was hilarious. But it's got a lot of momentum. So it just made me giggle.
Don't you think men are spending a lot of time trying to figure out how to solve our problems?
Yes.
Our quote unquote problems.
Yeah. I know. I don't understand what that is. Well, didn't you post something about the woman that started a bill to
yes.
women had to give permission for men to get Viagra.
They had to be married.
Oh, they had to be,
and they had to have permission from their wives
to get Viagra.
Right. And you know, people were very happy about this idea.
Well, because I've been trying to figure out what is the equivalent. So all these men are trying to invade women's bodies in government, right? And so I was trying to think, what is the equivalent women being able to do this with men. And there was a really funny, I'll have to find it. There was a really funny YouTube of women kind of mocking governmental people in the administration dealing with women's issues, and they turned it around and they were talking about like men's stuff. I'll have to find it. It was really funny. But I'm trying to figure out what could be the equivalent, and maybe it is the Viagra or something.
But that would only be for men who
are married,
or who need it.
Right. Yeah. Well, not everybody that needs Viagra takes Viagra. Sometimes they just.
Oh,
really? You don't? It's just like recreational use.
Who would want that? If you can already go there.
Because it lasts longer?
Oh, 4 hours or something. I don't know.
Well, hence why the woman needs to sign off. That's a really long time.
I think that, she would know about it. Regardless, he'd be home and he'd be all. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. I know nothing about this. My husband is 50, but
would you sign off? Would you sign that permission slip?
If he needed it. Sure.
For 4 hours?
Well, no, I think you're supposed to alert them if it happens for more than 4 hours. So, all right, we're moving on to other stuff because this is
speaking of,
this is just a little. We've gone off the rails.
And if you're just tuning in, this is Broadscast, so stick with it. We have a great guest. She's coming on right now, right?
Yes, Jen Glantz. She's the brains behind the business Bridesmaid for Hire, and she's got a brand new book out. That she's going to talk to us about. She's got other media outlets have called it the weirdest job in the world. And I think that we may be calling it that too in just a second. Hi, Jen. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me.
Hi.
Congratulations on the new book.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to chat with you about it today.
So let's go back a little bit. We're all little girls. Some of us more than others dream about, the day we get our first job or our first apartment or get married. Like, how did you go from little girl, thinking this is the way life's going to I'm going to get paid to be somebody's bridesmaid?
What really happened to me was in my early 20s, a lot of my friends were starting to get engaged. They were starting to get engaged and married, and they turned to me to be their bridesmaid. And there was one night in particular in my mid-20s where two friends asked me to be a bridesmaid, and that same night. And my roommate, when I told her, said, "Jen, you've become a professional bridesmaid." And this light went off in my head, and I thought to myself, could I do this for strangers? Why not try? So that's how I started the business, and why it works is because there was a gap in the wedding industry, right? So there was nobody there whose job it was to be there for the bride. If she had a wedding planner or a day of coordinator, they were super busy with the vendors and the venue. If the bride had a group of friends, they were busy getting their hair done, their makeup done. They didn't know how to deal with the pop-up problems that occur before or during a wedding, and that's what I'm there for.
Wow. So how did you get that first gig?
So when I had the idea pop into my head, I figured, where do I take a crazy idea? Why not a crazy website? So I posted an ad on Craigslist offering my services to strangers of the world as their bridesmaid for hire. And within just a couple of days, I got hundreds of emails.
No way.
All over the world.
Like legitimate emails?
Yes, people wanted to know what kind of services I provided and how fast I could work with them, whether as a hired bridesmaid or just someone they can call up and vent to about their wedding problems. So through those emails, I sat down and I developed my first couple of packages. And within a week, I booked my first client who hired me to be her bridesmaid and fly to Minnesota for her wedding.
Wow.
What? And so that first experience, were you part of a bridal party, or were there other, or were you just her one bridesmaid?
So I was part of a bridal party, and what had happened was she had fired her maid of honor just a couple of weeks before that. Her maid of honor was not supporting her, was stressing her out, and, was just not being there for her. So she wanted me to step in, be there for her before her wedding, and then come to the wedding as one of her bridesmaids to help just rally the troops and be there for her friends and take on whatever I could do to help out.
Wow. So you had your fee, and then she paid obviously travel expenses, and then like you got the dress that, it all worked out like that quickly.
So in this case, I was able to wear a similar looking dress because I was a bridesmaid for my friends so many times. I have a huge collection of bridesmaid dresses. So I could wear a similar one. But, since then, I've been doing this job for almost 3 years. And for that package in particular, brides will usually pay for the bridesmaid dress, the travel, the accommodations, and the package if they want me there as their bridesmaid for hire. But I do have less invasive packages. I have a lot of virtual coaching packages and behind-the-scenes packages for brides who just need some help.
So so there was a movie, I can't remember the name of it. There was a movie a couple years ago that Kevin Hart was like...
Yes.
Okay. We don't need to promote his movie, but there was a whole concept behind like he was hired or brought in to be this guy's whole groups
man.
Party. Yeah. So when you go and you become the bridesmaid for hire, do you like take on a role? Like, do you take on a persona? Do people know that you're for hire? Or do you pretend you're a long lost college friend? Like, how do you get into character?
Yeah, so that movie came out after I started my business, and I watched the movie laughing because he makes the job look easy. And perhaps for guys it is, but it's very different for women. And when some brides hire me, they're very open and honest about it. They tell their friends and family, this is Jen, I hired her. But then some brides don't tell anybody, not even the person they're marrying. And I do take on an identity. I'm not Jen Glantz. I'm Jen with a different last name. And we do have a backstory of how we know each other so that nobody finds out that we don't.
Wow. I'm kind of digging this. I mean, the thing is, what a need. There's a need out there, clearly, or else you wouldn't have been getting all those emails and you wouldn't be making a living at this. But it's brilliant, entrepreneurship,
Right.
Because
right.
I think that's the whole thing with, becoming an entrepreneur is finding a need and filling that need. So how has it gone from, how long have you been doing this?
3 years.
So I've been doing this almost 3 years. And since I started, I'm proud to say that I've had over 13,000 people apply to work for me as a professional bridesmaid. And I've hired women on my team to work weddings with me and for me. And I offer training programs now to help those other women start their own similar business. And it's just been very empowering to take something that I started almost by accident and be able to help other women start their own similar business.
So you're franchising?
In a way, in a sense, I offer a training program where I teach you how to start a similar business or just a wedding business in general using a lot of the tricks and tips that I've learned. I don't associate myself as a wedding vendor. I think the wedding industry is a very tough industry, and I think there needs to be a lot of change. So I want women to start businesses that are very different than the ordinary businesses that happen so far in the wedding industry. And so my training program is pretty broad in the sense that, yeah, you can start your own similar business, or let me help you brainstorm something else to disrupt the industry a little bit more.
Wow. And this could go on and on. You could become that best friend during a pregnancy, because how many people are pregnant and then the best friend gets to the point where if we just can stop talking about you being pregnant for half a second and you're oh, let me rub your feet and let's go crib shopping. And I mean, I know there are partners and things for that, but still sometimes I'm just saying that the possibilities are endless. So
Jen, have there been any requests of you as a bridesmaid, a hired bridesmaid that kind of blew your mind a little? Like anything that someone's asked you to do that you're I don't know if that qualifies?
Definitely. I get requests all the time for things that are not part of my service. I didn't start this business as a rent-a-friend business, so I don't just show up at the wedding and pretend to be the person's friend. We do develop a relationship over a course of a couple months or even a year, and we do actually become friends, and we get to know each other pretty well. So when people email me and say, hey, I need 3 bridesmaids, they're all 5'7", blonde hair, blue eyes, I say, this isn't a modeling agency. I don't just provide bodies in the room. We are a relationship-driven business. So I have turned away a lot of customers who are looking at this as, can I just have a 5th bridesmaid for my bridal party? That's not what I do. And then I've had requests for some crazy things on the actual wedding day. And, a big part of my book, Always a Bridesmaid for Hire, talks about these crazy stories that I found myself involved with. One of my craziest was walking down the aisle for a bride who 5 minutes before the wedding pulled me aside and says, Jen, I don't like the groom. I don't want to get married. And she had other bridesmaids there, but she chose to tell me because sometimes, and quite often, you're most honest with strangers because
right.
You don't know how they're going to react. So I was the one that had to take on this burden of, should she get married or should she run away?
Did she get married?
Very long story short, she did, but she had a conversation with the groom to pretty much say, let's just get through the day and figure it out from there. Because by that time, she had 300 guests waiting for her. So she did walk down the aisle. I don't know if their marriage is still going strong today, though.
Wow. Have you ever hooked up with a groomsman?
That's what I was going to ask.
This is my full-time job. I take it very seriously. I don't drink on the job. I don't flirt with anybody on the job. I have a long-term boyfriend. This is my version of going to the office 9 to 5. It just happens to be at a wedding, so I take it pretty seriously.
Wow. And you're able to make a living, pay for your apartment, do your thing, and according to your bio, pay for your library fees for your late books.
I do, yes. I have many different packages, and at any given time, I'm working with between 20 to 30 clients at a time, and this has become my full-time gig, and I'm very proud of it. It's very different. It's very strange, but I think more of us should be bold and go out there and do things that we think are different and strange. We live in a world where anything's acceptable, and that's a pretty cool thing.
Totally. I'm like, I can't get enough of this. So tell us a little bit about your book, Always a Bridesmaid for Hire, stories on growing up, looking for love, and walking down the aisle for complete strangers.
So I wrote this book last year after I had been in a couple weddings as a hired bridesmaid, and I really wanted to tell the behind the scenes of my story. It's not a glamorous one. It's a very fun one, but there was a lot of mistakes and failures along the way. So a big chunk of this book talks about what it was like starting this weird business, the pushback that I received, the failures and mistakes that I personally made along the way, and how it honestly feels to get off a plane and walk into someone's life and down the aisle for them that you've never met in person before. So the book is filled with personal essays about my personal love life, growing up, some of the things I faced in school that made me like this now, and of course what it feels like to be there for somebody who is, yes, a stranger, but someone that you have developed a strange relationship with.
So after you've participated in, how many weddings now have you done, roughly?
So I've worked with over 65 clients.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. So after being a part of 55 weddings that you've been hired to do, and then all the social, like your friends and family, whomever, do you want to get married?
I do. I think marriage is wonderful. I don't want a wedding. I have never enjoyed weddings. I never was the kid who planned the wedding of their own. The more weddings I go to, the more I think they're ridiculous. I don't do this job because I like weddings. I do it because I love people and I love helping strangers in difficult situations. And weddings can be just that. So I do want a party of some sort when I get married, but absolutely nothing that costs me thousands of dollars and is very stressful. I think that the wedding industry has a hold on people who think they need X, Y, and Z to make their wedding like everybody else's. But there's no rule about that, and I'm hoping to shatter that, and I'm hoping to not have a wedding that looks like a wedding.
Wow. So what are some of the mistakes you think that brides are making these days getting married, other than marrying the wrong guy?
Yeah, I mean, I think that people are spending far too much money on their wedding. You know, it is only 8 hours. People have branded this day as the best day of your life, but it's not. It's just a day. Life after marriage gets harder. You know, perhaps kids come into the picture, money issues happen, life things happen. So, you know, to me, people think this day is supposed to be perfect and magical, but it is just a day. And they spend, I think, a little bit too much money. And the other thing I think people do wrong that they regret later is doing everything they're told to do, having flowers, wearing white, doing these traditions that really don't have a meaning right now that costs them thousands of dollars. And then after their wedding, they wonder why they did it.
Because I don't think there are enough people like you out there to say, hey, it doesn't have to be like this. You know, I think it's like an assembly line of
right.
brides.
Here's your checklist. These are the things you need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why there are businesses out there that make bank off these women in their vulnerable state.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? Some people want that wedding, and that's completely fine. Other people aren't sure what they're supposed to do, and that's when I usually step in and say, okay, tell me what you want, and then I'll tell you how to do it without spending every dime that you have, because nowadays more and more people are paying for their weddings themselves. They're not turning to their parents. They're paying out of pocket for their celebration. And I hope people know that this shouldn't be the most expensive thing you spend in your life. You know, you should really spend your money on other things that will last longer and perhaps be more meaningful. So I'm hoping to spread that word. But then again, people need to do what they want to do and plan the wedding of their dreams, not mine.
So do you get pushback from like the other people that are in the bridal party when you show up because they see, like, if they know that you're hired, do they, because I would feel like if it were
not good enough,
that I'm not good enough. Yeah. Like that I didn't. So is there like tension at all?
Lots of times the bridesmaids at first are wondering why I'm there, who the heck I am. But then when I'm there, I'm helping them out. You know, I'm not sitting back with my feet up getting my hair done. I'm running around like crazy doing what they need, helping them out so that in the end they could relax and have fun and not worry about making a last-minute trip to CVS because the bride forgot something or somebody needs something. So I think about 20, 30 minutes into the wedding, they take a deep breath and realize I'm there to help them out, and they're no longer upset that I'm there.
Oh.
I like that. I mean, I kind of think I need a bridesmaid just around my house for a little bit of help.
You need a mom maid? Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about, you obviously, I mean, are a brilliant entrepreneur, but you speak at conferences and workshops and things like that. What are some of the things that you speak about?
So I've always had a passion for helping women and supporting women. So for the past 5 years, I've tried to speak at as many different high schools, colleges, conventions, workshops as I possibly can. I speak at middle schools to middle school girls to try to teach them confidence. I speak to high school students to try to teach them early on how to take an idea and perhaps make it into a business, even though you are so young. I speak at colleges all of the time to try to let students know that there is no right career path, no matter what you majored in. You can still do something completely different. I majored in poetry, and I am doing something completely different now. And then I do speak at a lot of women entrepreneur groups in New York City and all around the country, just to inspire people to take that first step with that big idea they have, and also how to manage and control the fear of failure, because we all have that looming inside of us, and it's very important that we figure out how to get over that so that we can get started.
Wow. So when you were in your mid-20s before you were invited to be bridesmaid for two people in the same day, what was your path? Where did you see your life going before all this kind of came to fruition?
I've had a couple jobs in the past where I was primarily helping women, so that was always something that I wanted to do. And before this, I was writing full-time, and I was also speaking as well. I had a blog, I had a first book that I wrote, so I was doing a lot of public speaking and workshops through that, and trying to mentor as many women as I possibly could. That was always a passion. So I was doing a lot of this before the business. And I think that's why when I started the business, a lot of my family and friends didn't think it was crazy. They fully understood it because they had seen all of the work I had done leading up to this, helping women, and they realized this business wasn't something that was, rent a friend. It was help a person out who unfortunately doesn't have any close family or friends.
Right. So how did you go? I mean, you were pretty young for all this to start and to already be doing workshops and mentoring and things like that. Where did you did you have that sort of support when you were a teenager or young, where you kind of saw the world as open to opportunity versus like get a 9-to-5 job?
Actually, I found the opposite. I never really had a lot of support growing up. As somebody who wanted to be a writer, a lot of people looked at me and laughed in my face and told me that I would never make it as a writer. I should find a career that was a little bit more serious. So I had a lot of instances in my life, and I write about this a lot in the book, where people shut the door on me. They didn't give me opportunities I knew I deserved or opportunities I wanted. And because of that, at a very young age, I always told myself that it's important to create something of your own. If you really want something bad enough and the world isn't giving it to you, create it for yourself. I also learned early on that a lot of people I wanted to be my mentor weren't there for me. A lot of teachers growing up were very negative in my life. So growing up, I always imagined that if I figured out a little bit of myself and found a little bit of success, that I would like to give back by being that public speaker, that motivational speaker for others. And I think there was many different instances in my life that made me like this.
Wow. I just think that you were, pretty young to kind of get on that path. I mean, I'm 46. Oh my God, I'm not. I'm 45. I have no idea why I said that.
I did that the other day too. I was like, wait, how old am I?
I'm aging myself.
Yeah.
But and I know that I was born to be an entrepreneur, without a product necessarily. Well, we have this one, but I think that a lot of people listen to those voices, whether they're real or, in our heads, that you can't do this and you should just, find something safe, find something that provides. So how were you able to kind of push through those voices if you had any at all?
I had so many of those. I speak about this a lot. I had a lot of very key figures in my life push me away from my dreams and tell me I wasn't good enough and that I would never get there. Very, very, very prominent people in my life. And this started at the age of 14, actually, when I had the first person tell me that, I wasn't good enough. And I remember I tried to give up. I went home. I cried, of course, and I told my mom I'm done with writing. I told her what happened. And she looked at me and she said, "Really? You're really going to give up on this? You've wanted to be a writer since you were 6 years old, and you're going to let one person disrupt your dream?" So that was the first instance of knowing that my mom was my compass in a way, my clear-headed compass. And every single time I faced rejection or I've wanted to give up, which let me tell you is quite often, I go to her and she always points me back to where I belong, which is moving forward regardless of people who try to shut me down. Yes, I am only 28 years old, but I've known that I wanted to be a writer for many years and I wanted to do all these things. And I have faced incredible negativity from people and incredible situations where I had mentors and key people push me down. So I have really had to stay strong and stay on my own path regardless of who was trying to shut me down.
So I read in an article about that you were working with a man, Ray Lepoff, I don't know how he, through SCORE, which I'd never heard of, but was an organization that offers free advice to young entrepreneurs. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So was that a healthy relationship, or was that was that organization, was that something that you sought out because you wanted to get outside structure? You wanted to get, support? How did that come to be?
So I met him at a moment in my life when I needed support very badly. I was about 9 months into starting a business, and I didn't really have anyone to talk to about it. So I reached out to SCORE, and I was partnered with Ray, and Ray was my savior in a sense. I met with him for many Saturdays for a couple of hours, and he not only helped me with my business, but helped me with leadership skills that I really needed to learn. So I've been seeing Ray through SCORE for about 2 years now, and he was probably one of the first mentors I've ever had in this world who was really able to support me and teach me lessons nobody else could.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting. I'd never heard of that organization. I think that, there's so many resources that unless you are looking for them, you don't know that they exist. So, I'd never heard of that before. And it was just, I read that it was a healthy relationship. That's why I
think that anybody and everybody could benefit from a mentor, but I think that the question is, how do you find that person? Sometimes, I know for me, I do get a lot of like, hey, can we go get some coffee and I'll pick your brain? It's, and it's like, oh my gosh, I have enough coffee. And I don't have enough brain. We're stretched so thin that I would love to be a mentor for somebody and also have somebody who's, ahead of me in the world that could mentor me. But how do you make those connections?
In this situation through SCORE, it was at first, I was wondering why I was paired with somebody very different than me. He's in his 80s, he's a man. I figured I wanted someone closer to my age, probably someone who was a woman. And when I first met him, I wondered if this was going to be a good situation. And it turned out that I didn't know what I was talking about. You need somebody very different than you if you really want help. If you go to somebody for mentorship who's similar to you, then you might just hear the things you already know.
Right.
So working with Ray, somebody who's very different than me, who has a very different background than me, has allowed me to really broaden the lessons that I learn. And I get the same emails from people all the time saying, hey, can we meet for coffee so I can learn everything that you've spent 10 years learning yourself? And, that's frustrating in a sense because, like you said, we all have a very limited time. And I prefer to help people who have already started and made mistakes and failed, who don't want to pick my brain, but almost want to know how they can get past certain hurdles, certain things that they've come across, rather than how do I get started? How do you get started? Go do step 1 right now and come reach back out when you're on step 5 and you're facing, a roadblock of some sense. And I think that that's how you find a mentor you can connect with, is after you've already gotten started.
Well, that's interesting. But I think that a lot of people, let's use the mountain, they look at this enormous mountain and they see the whole thing as opposed to this first step. And so they never start. So how does one overcome, that first, first of all, where am I starting? And then how do I start?
Definitely. And I think, for the how to start part or even where to start part, a lot of that is just sitting down and spending the time trying to figure out what you want your business idea to be, even before you think of how this is going to work, but just what your idea is. And I think that's the appropriate time to reach out to a mentor once you have those ideas. Oftentimes people who don't know where to start and they're reaching out for help, it can be a little bit confusing of the type of mentor you are most appropriate with. In those situations, perhaps you want to go to different workshops around the local area that talk about, how to find an idea, or perhaps you want to take a class on finding a business idea. But I think a mentorship relationship is more of like a very close one-on-one relationship that you go to when you've already started the process. And you have different things that your mentor could really guide you on, but helping you find an idea, it might be hard to find a good mentor for that.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's a really good point, because I think people kind of spin in their own, like, I know I want to do something, I don't know what to do, and they think another person in their life is going to be able to do that for them. And that's, but
sometimes going through all of that conversation, it's kind of like how you and I have conversations. We've always talked about how you
drunk.
No, but you have great vision, and I'm like the naysayer, right? Like I'm the one that I'm. Right. So I think that's part of it. That when you have such grand ideas, that sometimes it's hard to just narrow it down. Like, what is my first step? Like, I know where I want to get to, but what's my first step? And I think sometimes be identifying what that first step is the hardest part.
Yeah, but I think just take a step. And, because that will, do you agree with that, Jen, that like, I think a lot of times people spend so much time, trying to figure out what that first step is, that they're paralyzed when they just take a step, because then the second step will just go in a different, decide which direction you go in.
Definitely. And, I think that even if you take the step of brainstorming 5 business ideas and then you present that to somebody, that shows a little bit more respect. I think that when people reach out and they say, I want to start a business, I don't know what to do. Can I pick your brain on how you did every single thing you did? The person behind the other side is going to say, well, you haven't even tried to think of an idea, And I think if you even take the first step of just brainstorming potential business ideas, that's a strong place to start.
Right. Well, we really appreciate your coming on, and
so interesting.
Yeah.
Good for
you. Find
you.
your book on Amazon. People can find. I love that you have the audio version on Audible, and you still also have your blog happening.
I do. The things I learned from.
And so, tell us a little bit about that real quick before you go. So, is that you're just sharing things that you learned from in all different areas of your life?
So I started that blog about 6 years ago when I was graduating college, living back at home, unsure of where life was going to take me. And I made it a goal to write at least once a week there about a situation or a mistake or a moment of failure that I had, very raw, very real, very honest. And not really just mention what I learned from it, but more so tell the story of what I experienced through that situation, and then in hopes that people can relate. It's not really an advice blog. It's more of just a place where I share my stories and the weird and wild twists of, how I got myself into some crazy situations throughout the last 6 years.
Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us and kind of opening our minds to, Kim and I talk about this on the reg. She, I do come up with crazy kind of big ideas, and she is very practical, and she can kind of like talk me down from, the ledge. But I think that you're living proof that Kim's wrong, and and that there's so many opportunities out there, and many of them haven't even been tapped into yet.
Definitely, I agree with that.
Awesome. Well, Jen Glantz, thank you so much, and we also have links to your book on our website, broadscast.com. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Jen.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, bye-bye. So
did you really just try to get someone to agree with you that I'm wrong? After all of that, that was the summary of that.
I don't have to try, Kim.
Yeah. I would never have I don't talk people out of. I just ever go for gold.
No, I think that
I wouldn't have talked her out of this. I would have been awesome. This is
no, you're very supportive in that way. I didn't mean it like that.
I know you
I
did.
mean it when it's something that you also have to then work at, and it's not your idea, but it requires more work on your part. That's when it gets, because you're like, what?
Yeah. Well, if it's not something that I'm like can get behind, I'm not as motivated.
Right.
Right. And it does. It feels like work. But would you ever hire a bridesmaid? Like, I'm looking.
You know what? First of all, I feel like I did my wedding right.
I feel like I married the wrong guy, but I feel like I did my wedding right.
Yeah. I mean, like I had the girls wear black, ideally under the knee, as far as length.
Yeah.
It didn't, but they all, from my junior bridesmaid, who's now a mother of two herself, to my friends and the maid of honor, like they all had their own dress that they felt comfortable and beautiful in. I mean, one of my friends in Massachusetts had just had her third of 4 children.
How old were you when you got married?
31.
I think that's part of it too. I was a little older when I got married. I think I was 30. So I don't know. I was kind of in my way, or like I was in my life already. Like I did things my way. I didn't do what anybody else told me to do. I kind of bucked tradition. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, there were some things that to me were important tradition, like, and some things that I just wanted the people around to have a great time. I wanted everyone to be happy. And so I did that. And then our little flower girl, she wore a white dress like I did. She was the cutest little thing. She just got it. Now she's just been accepted to graduate school.
Right.
To become a physician's assistant, which makes me feel like I've been married a long time because she was 6. But, between that and like planning it across the country, because we got married in Gloucester, Massachusetts. Right. And so, I had to make a lot of decisions based like, you know, a little leap of faith, I wanted the flowers to be a certain color and a certain feel, but I didn't go crazy. I remember I spent $1,400 on flowers, which I think is pretty reasonable.
Oh, I have no idea. I listen to people talk about the stress of their wedding. I don't know if it's a personality. I didn't have stress planning. I mean, I did the whole thing by myself. I mean, my ex-husband didn't participate much and not.
No, I'm saying nothing.
At the time, I mean, he was a pilot and he was traveling a lot. And so, but I mean, we went and did certain things together, but for the most part, like I don't know. I just didn't have the stress that I hear people talk about. Right. I mean, even when I was planning Sam's bar mitzvah, I just didn't have stress when I listen to people talk about planning. I don't know if that's self-induced.
Well, you're also now you plan events all the time for your charity.
But and I think maybe that was part of it too. When I planned my own wedding, I mean, I was doing multi-day fundraising events across the country. But I think in general, I'm not a stress-induced person.
Yeah, but you're also not a keep up with the Joneses.
So no,
I think that's when a lot of stress comes in, when somebody feels like, oh, this has to happen. I don't have the funds or the resource, like,
Yeah. So, well, I also didn't have a lot of people telling me what I needed to do. I didn't, like, my ex-husband's family didn't come. And my dad and my stepmom didn't have a ton to, like, demands, I should say. Right. So I think maybe that was part of it too. But I also was like, I'm not, this isn't for you. This wedding is for us. Like, I didn't have obligatory invites. Right. I was like, if your people don't know my name or where I live, they can't come to my wedding. Like, I didn't have a room full of strangers, and so I think
we didn't have any pressure from the parents either. It was just, I was like, just come, like, be part of, you have a very important role as our parents, but you don't have any other obligations. Like, I just wanted it to be really nice. Like when people showed up at the hotel in Gloucester, like we had little packages of cookies and things like that. And like,
I did that. Yeah.
And a nice little snacks. We had a little cocktail hour the night before, which I think may have cost just as much as the wedding. I mean, it was crazy expensive, but
but it's interesting. I mean, you know what? I love the entrepreneurial spirit that Jen has. And I think that, just when you think there's no more new and exciting ideas, someone comes up with something that you're like, dang it, why didn't I think of that? And so here she is. I mean, she's capitalizing on a need, apparently. I guess I just never really.
I mean, if I were in that situation where, I mean, we got off topic here, but like if you and I didn't have such amazing, supportive, broad squads, then maybe we would need something like that, and I certainly don't judge it. I think it's amazing. Honestly, I mean, I said it before, born entrepreneur. I just haven't lived the life that actually goes with that. but I'm fascinated and sparked and inspired by all of those people, who are and who are doing it and successfully.
Right.
I think it's awesome. So,
yeah.
But that's it. That's all we have for today.
That's it? Oh, well, thanks for tuning in to Broadscast.
And we have some great shows coming up in the next few weeks.
We do.
I'm really excited to be sharing some of those.
I just yawned. I'm so sorry.
I know.
God.
Maybe
it's
those
not
ones
you.
I won't bore Kim.
I know.
So thanks for listening. Talk to you next time.
Bye.
You are listening to Broadscast. For more from the Broads, head to broadscast.com.